when your young adult is struggling with motivation, addiction, or just direction in life. It's easy to feel like your compassion keeps pulling you under. I've lived that tug between wanting to be kind and wanting to be honest, between showing empathy and losing sight of myself in the process. This week, we're exploring compassion with clarity, how to stay kind without getting lost. Because empathy without boundaries starts to blur everything. And clarity, spoken with love, is what actually keeps connection alive. In my own family, this balance is something I still practice every day. My son has had a long stretch recently where motivation seems non-existent. He says he wants independence, his own space, his own choices, but the follow-through isn't always there. And as his mom, that disconnect can stir up frustration and helplessness. When he's living at home, that tension can build quietly until it spills over. And that's when my old habits kick in. Anxiety starts to build, and I begin to try to manage, explain, or smooth things out before they boil over. For me, not exploding means trying to hold the peace, but sometimes that peacekeeping turns into overthinking, and my mind starts racing with strategies. If I can just say it differently, if I can make it connect to his goals, maybe it will click. Maybe it will be the motivation that he needs. The mental loop feels productive, but really it's my anxiety trying to manage what's not mine to manage. I'm learning that calm isn't about finding the perfect words. It's about trusting silence to do some of the work. Because when I try to think my way into fixing things, I start carrying responsibility for what he hasn't chosen yet. And that's where I lose myself. When my empathy crosses into over-responsibility, when I start holding the emotional load that belongs to him, that's not compassion anymore. That's fear disguised as love. And fear doesn't build trust, it builds dependency and codependency on my part. When my son talks about what's hard, I try staying steady first, a hand on my heart, one deep breath, and a quiet reminder I can stay connected without taking over. That shift matters and makes a difference because empathy isn't about entering their storm, it's about me anchoring outside of it. Sometimes it sounds like saying, I care deeply about you, and I trust you to figure out your next step. That sentence used to terrify me. It felt like letting go meant giving up. But what I'm learning is that trust, real trust, is a deeper act of love than control ever was. It asks me to pair patience with compassion. When kindness starts to blur into chaos, here's what helps me. 1, anchor before you act. When emotions rise, pause. Regulate your nervous system first. Dr. Dan Siegel calls this attunement. When we stay calm, our body signals safety to theirs. 2, speak clarity, not control. Use honest I statements that communicate truth with care, like, I love you, and I can't fund choices that hurt you. Or, I care about you, but this behavior isn't okay in our home. That's compassion with a backbone. 3, detach with warmth. This is what psychologists call secure autonomy, staying emotionally connected while holding boundaries. For example, when my son makes a choice that I don't agree with, I could say, that's your choice. I hope it works out the way you want, and I'm here if you need to regroup. That's not approval, It's trust and respect side by side. When we do this, empathy stops being a rescue mission and becomes a partnership. What I'm still learning is this: kindness without clarity leads to resentment, and clarity without kindness feels rigid. But when empathy and honesty meet, love becomes sustainable. I can be gentle without giving up my truth, and I can stand firm without closing my heart. That's how relationships begin to mature, not one of dependence, but one of interdependence, where he learns to stand on his own and I learn to let go with love. If this speaks to you, subscribe and stay with me. This week on socials, I'm sharing daily insights about compassion with clarity, how empathy can be steady, structured, and still soft, because we're learning to love our young adults without losing ourselves.